In the glorious annals of time and space, one figure stood as the universe's greatest champion, the Doctor. For decades, this Time Lord defended humanity from extinction with nothing but wit, courage, and an occasionally functioning sonic screwdriver. Behold the legendary William Hartnell, outwitting Daleks through pure cunning. Patrick Troughton faced the Cybermen invasion of London, his cosmic hobo persona masking a brilliant tactical mind. Tom Baker, armed with jelly babies and an impossible scarf, turned genocide into tea-time conversation. These were the glory days, when the Doctor's greatest concern was whether the universe would survive until tea time. But then, something went terribly wrong. The year was 2025. The Doctor made a fatal error. He attended a university lecture on the works of Karl Marx. Every hero you've been taught to admire, proclaimed the professor, was actually perpetuating systemic oppression. The Doctor's eyes widened with horrified realization. All those years of saving civilizations, and he'd never once checked their privilege. I'm part of the problem, he whispered, staring at his pale, male, heteronormative hands in disgust. What happened next defied all laws of regeneration. The Doctor, overcome with guilt at his own existence, pointed his sonic screwdriver at himself and pulled the trigger. Golden energy erupted. When it faded, the universe's greatest hero had regenerated into something else entirely. Where once stood David Tennant, now stood Bella Ramsey. Their pronouns, they announced to the empty TARDIS, were they slashed them, subject to change without notice. Finally, they declared, examining their new form with satisfaction, a body that doesn't reek of colonial oppression. The Doctor's mission had evolved. No longer would they waste time fighting Daleks or Cybermen. From this day forward, they proclaimed, we hunt the most dangerous prey in all of creation, transphobes. The Doctor's first crusade began immediately. Using the TARDIS's temporal capabilities, they traveled back in time to prevent offensive tweets before they were ever posted. In a modest suburban home in Yorkshire, concerned mother Janet Thompson sat at her laptop, composing a short message about the importance of protecting children from irreversible medical procedures. The Doctor materialized in her living room, sonic screwdriver humming with righteous fury. Do I have the right? Do I have the right to destroy these fascist bigots before they can spread their hatred? The Doctor mused. The answer came swiftly. Yes, absolutely. Racist transphobes don't deserve to exist. The Doctor turned the sonic screwdriver to maximum power and fired. Janet Thompson was vaporized instantly, leaving only a small pile of problematic ash and the lingering scent of revolutionary justice. One down, several million to go. But while the Doctor busied themselves with ideological pest control, old enemies began to stir. Deep beneath the English Channel, Dalek reconnaissance units detected something unprecedented. The Doctor was no longer defending Earth. The Cybermen, monitoring from their base beneath London's sewers, reached the same conclusion through cold logic. The time was ripe for invasion. As Daleks emerged from the depths of the English Channel and Cybermen awoke beneath the storm drains across London, the Doctor was busy with far more pressing matters. They had been summoned to Downing Street for an urgent meeting with Premier Keir Starmer. Doctor, Starmer began, we have a crisis. Someone posted a meme suggesting there are only two genders. The Doctor gasped in horror. How many casualties? Potentially millions, Starmer replied gravely. If left unchecked, this dangerous thinking could spread. We need your help to implement the final solution to the bigotry question. The Doctor nodded solemnly. I'll need a companion, the Doctor declared. Someone to help me spread the message of tolerance and hope. Starmer consulted his diversity checklist. I have just the person. They tick 17 different boxes and have never had an original thought in their life. Enter Riley Patel Johnson Williams, a non-binary, neurodivergent, differently abled person of color who identified as a demisexual, polyamorous furry with chronic fatigue syndrome. Their qualifications for time travel were non-existent, but their oppression credentials were impeccable. With this new and entirely useless companion in tow, the Doctor's crusade intensified. At Cambridge University, they personally oversaw the burning of problematic literature. Into the flames went Orwell's 1984, deemed too triggering for students studying totalitarianism. Pride and Prejudice followed, guilty of promoting heteronormative relationship structures. Education, the Doctor proclaimed to the cheering crowd of students, must be protected from dangerous ideas. When Professor Higgins dared to suggest that perhaps burning books was historically associated with fascism, The doctor's sonic screwdriver reduced him to a small pile of academically problematic dust. But the doctor's masterpiece of social justice was yet to come. Pride Month was declared Pride Year by emergency decree. Every household in Britain received a mandatory rainbow flag to be displayed prominently or face immediate vaporization. The doctor personally supervised compliance, traveling door to door with the enthusiasm of a Jehovah's Witness armed with a weapon of mass destruction. In a quiet cottage in the Cotswolds, elderly Mrs. Booth was baking a birthday cake for her grandson Timothy. As she piped happy birthday in pink icing, she made a fatal error. "There we are, little man," she said fondly. "Grandma's special boy." The doctor materialized instantly, their moral outrage sensors having detected the microaggression from 3 time zones away. "Did you just assume that child's gender?" they demanded, sonic screwdriver crackling with righteous electricity. What followed was a punishment that would have made the Daleks weep with admiration. The doctor chained the elderly woman to the TARDIS console and dragged her halfway across the cosmos, finally hurling her into the heart of a red dwarf star, where she would spend eternity contemplating her transphobic sins. As the doctor's crusade reached fever pitch, London burned. Daleks raced down through the heart of London toward Buckingham Palace. Cybermen emerged from every manhole cover, dragging screaming citizens into the sewers for immediate conversion. Units' desperate calls for help went unanswered. The doctor was far too busy fighting the real enemies of civilization. Finally, as Big Ben toppled under Dalek fire and the Thames ran silver with Cyberman conversion fluid, Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart managed to reach the doctor directly. "Doctor, please," he begged over the communicator. "London is falling. We need you." The doctor sighed heavily. "Very well," they said with obvious reluctance. The doctor materialized in the heart of London, where units' remaining forces had barricaded themselves in what was left of Westminster. General Stewart rushed forward, his uniform singed, his face desperate with hope. "Doctor, thank God you're here. The Daleks have taken Parliament, the Cybermen control the underground, and—" "Stop right there," the doctor interrupted, raising their hand with the authority of the morally superior. "Before we discuss anything else, I need to address the elephant in the room. I've reviewed units' personnel files, and frankly, I'm appalled. Overwhelmingly straight, overwhelmingly white, overwhelmingly male. Where's the diversity? Where's the representation?" Riley, the doctor's companion, nodded enthusiastically. "Maybe we should try talking to the Daleks," they suggested brightly. "Maybe we should try understanding their grievances." At that moment, a stray Dalek blast punched through the wall. Riley was caught in the energy beam and burst into flames, their 17 diversity credentials providing no protection against Skaro death rays. The doctor didn't even notice. They were too busy lecturing Stewart about UNIT's problematic lack of diversity. "You know what?" the doctor declared, stepping over Riley's smoldering remains. "Perhaps Britain deserves this fate. A nation built on colonialism, imperialism, and toxic masculinity. The Daleks are simply delivering overdue justice." They turned on their heel and marched back toward the TARDIS. "Doctor, wait," Stewart called out desperately. "Where are you going?" "To fix the real problems," the doctor replied without looking back. "History is full of injustices that need correcting. Goodbye, General. Try to die with dignity." The TARDIS dematerialized, leaving UNIT to face extinction alone. But the doctor's work was just beginning. If they were going to create a truly equitable universe, they would need to address the root causes of oppression. And that meant traveling back to eliminate the very foundations of Western civilization. First stop, 1930s Britain. The doctor materialized in Winston Churchill's study, where the future Prime Minister was writing his memoirs. "Winston Churchill," the doctor announced, sonic screwdriver humming with lethal intent, "you stand accused of perpetuating colonial oppression and problematic cigar smoking." Churchill looked up from his papers, brandy in hand. "I beg your pardon?" The sonic screwdriver fired. Churchill vanished in a puff of imperialist smoke. Next, Philadelphia, 1776. The doctor burst into Independence Hall just as the Founding Fathers were signing the Declaration of Independence. "Gentlemen, this document is deeply problematic." Before anyone could respond, the doctor incinerated the Declaration and replaced it with their own version. The Declaration of Universal Equity, which guaranteed freedom from offensive speech and the right to preferred pronouns. The Founding Fathers, being white males, were vaporized on principle. The historical rampage continued with ruthless efficiency. The doctor armed Zulu warriors with photon cannons, sank the Mayflower before it could reach America, and pushed Columbus overboard somewhere in the mid-Atlantic. Colonialism, they muttered with satisfaction, dies here. But why stop there? The Doctor traveled further back, destroying the Library of Alexandria to prevent dangerous ideas from spreading. They poisoned Socrates with hemlock before he could corrupt young minds with philosophy. Finally, having erased the entire foundation of Western thought, the Doctor set course for 19th century London to meet the one man whose ideas had inspired their glorious crusade. Karl Marx himself. The TARDIS materialized in nothing. Where London should have stood, there was only empty moorland. Where Marx should have been writing Das Kapital, there was only silence. The Doctor stepped out, confused. Without Western civilization to react against, Marx had never existed. Without Marx, there was no communist theory. Without communist theory, there was no basis for the Doctor's righteous crusade. They had erased their own ideology from existence. Curious, the Doctor mused, apparently unbothered by this minor logical inconsistency. No matter. I'm sure there are other worlds that need liberating from problematic thinking. Meanwhile, across time and space, Earth had become a battleground of cosmic proportions. Every hostile species in the galaxy had declared open season on humanity's defenseless world. As the Daleks and Cybermen continued their conquest, they were joined by others. The Sontarans arrived, seeking glorious battle against defenseless civilians. The Ice Warriors emerged from polar bases, claiming Earth for the new Martian Empire. Earth's final transmission, broadcast from a bunker beneath what had once been Geneva, was a desperate plea. This is humanity's last message. We are sorry for whatever we did wrong. Please, someone, anyone, help us understand our crimes so we can apologize properly before we die. The Doctor, monitoring communications from the safety of the time vortex, nodded approvingly. Finally, they're taking responsibility for their privilege. But the universe was vast, and there were so many other worlds that needed the Doctor's special brand of liberation. They set course for Gallifrey itself, determined to address the Time Lord's problematic non-interference policy. However, there was one small problem. With Earth's population reduced to approximately 12 survivors hiding in a Tesco bunker, the Doctor's companion recruitment options had become somewhat limited. I suppose I'll have to make do, they sighed, materializing in the bunker, where the last remnants of humanity cowered among the tinned beams. The survivors looked up hopefully. Perhaps at last their savior had arrived. Right then, the Doctor announced, I need a new companion. Let's see. You're all terribly pale and probably heterosexual, but beggars can't be choosers. They pointed at the least offensive-looking survivor. You, Keir Starmer, you'll have to do. As the TARDIS dematerialized, leaving the remaining 11 humans to contemplate their privilege in solitude, the Doctor set course for new adventures. And so the Doctor's crusade continued, spreading peace, love, and understanding to every corner of the cosmos, whether they wanted it or not. What a heartwarming tale that was. I'm Wally, your ever-faithful narrator and occasional moral compass. Truly inspiring stuff from Doctor Who, wasn't it? Nothing says hope for humanity quite like Bella Ramsey's Doctor, vaporizing a few unfortunate citizens for insufficient ideological alignment. But that's not all we've got coming your way. Oh no. Coming next is another thrilling entry in Soviet Star Trek. Watch as Spockovich meets Captain Picard, who's accidentally slipped into the Soviet mirror universe due to a quantum anomaly. Will he and his crew survive their encounter with this version of Spock, or will they witness the full power of economic justice? Find out this Saturday, or find out right now. Channel members get instant early access, and for those on Patreon, not only do you get early access, but you'll also get an exclusive behind-the-curtain look at how this episode was made. Until then, keep your sonic screwdriver charged, your rations collectivized, and your sense of irony alive.